We were just talking about this morning.
No! Dog! Fat boy! Fat! No!
Very good. You feel better?
I feel great, man.
All right. That was from the No Kings demonstration. They had a booth like Lucy of Peanuts with a Trump doll. And this is how adults are handling things from the left. However, I think there are people in MAGA who may be doing the same thing right now. I have no idea.
That thing that you showed, I mean, someone smarter than me pointed out, my take on this, because other people pointed out that these, the crowd was so old that people were trying to figure out what the deal was. So I've said this before, that this is the atheistic left boomer generation that is leaving the earth, and they're starting to realize that their entire life might have been meaningless in terms of politics and spirituality, and they're going berserk. Someone else pointed out, maybe also smartly, that this is the actual audience of legacy media as it is today. These are the ones that watch MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, and the regular legacy CBS News, NBC News, and ABC News. Now, is that what this guy's saying here, Tyler?
Yeah, old white boomers by day, Antifa by night.
Yeah,
No
well, I don't know
Kings,
about it. I
Color
don't know about
Revolution.
Antifa by night, but this crowd is so old that it seems like the last gasp of the 60s, Eric, in terms of protest. And this is their, their either booty call or bucket list or some sort of farewell swan song to their generation.
Well, this is why the Antifa by night, because in one of them in Utah, you literally had somebody gunned down.
Yeah,
they had a gunman go run up on it. Somebody got killed by event peacekeepers. I don't know what an event peacekeeper is. Is that another word for security, or
it's
is that
just Antifa waiting until the sun goes down? They come to the daytime rally and then they go crazy at night. Now, this story just broke from the LA Times this morning. The protest in LA, the peaceful, mostly peaceful protests in Los Angeles have cost the city of LA $20 million in damages. That's the mostly peaceful protests. This is a city that's bankrupt. It's something like, $100 million to $700 million over budget. They're having to cut programs. And again, Karen Bass, this psychotic ideologue, allowed this to happen and was bragging about it until the bill came out this morning from the city registrar or accountant's office that the damage alone is over $20 million that she said was mostly peaceful protest, Eric.
Well, I mean,
there's a price to pay. I was thinking that the other day, there it was. Why doesn't somebody simply add up the damage cost of what this is going to cost the city? Because there was so much damage, and the guy whose job it actually was apparently was contacted by the LA Times and says the estimates are over 20 million at this time.
And then she'll like Scott said in the chat, she'll just blame Trump. She'll just
not just blame Trump. They're suing the administration for the month. No, you can't make this up, Eric. They're actually suing the Trump administration to pay them back for the money for the damages from the riots that they caused. Holy cow, Eric.
Wow. Well, okay, to start things on a lighter note, I mean, I found that mildly light with this goofball slamming a doll like a...
yeah, that's a good one. That was like a good one. That was still political. Go ahead.
Apparently, some people in Boston are feeling like this... So apparently there's some sort of player trade that happened.
Yeah, I feel sorry for them. The Boston fans with the Cardinal fans are two of the greatest fan bases in American sports.
Mhm.
They have been robbed of players as Xander Bogaerts, the shortstop, who went to the Padres, Mookie Betts, who went to the Dodgers, and now Rafael Devers, who's going to the hated Giants, which I'm not so happy about. I would be committing self-immolation if I was a Red Sox fan at this point. Devers, they paid $250 million, long-term contract, supposed to be the face of the franchise, literally traded overnight to the Giants while the Dodgers were playing the Giants, and he was hurriedly on a plane to get here. He didn't get here fast enough to do any damage to us, but we will play them again, and Devers will be the Barry Bonds of the Giants for many years to come. Bogaerts is on the Padres that we played last night, but an amazing event happened last night. The Dodgers opened the stadium an hour early, which they never do, because to do that, you have to have the employees there. You have to have all the ushers. You have to have everything there.
Sure.
They opened it up last night because this was a mega event. This was the return of Shohei Ohtani to the mound to pitch the opening game of a 3-game series with the Padres. Hasn't pitched in 2 years due to surgery and an injury. Has not pitched as a Dodger and is the DH of the team. It was quite goosebumpy last night for everybody. Everybody in the stands just standing up, watching this thing. It was freak out city last night. And I know that he pitched for the Angels, but nobody saw it because he was in an Angel uniform for 5 years, where he did dominate the American League West in pitching. But holy cow, was this spectacular last night. This is Babe Ruthian stuff happening in real time. Babe Ruth did it for 2 years as a Yankee, of course. And now Ohtani's, this will be his 6th year of pitching, but the first for the Dodgers. He only pitched 1 inning to loosen it up, and he gave up a run, gave up 2 hits, but that was meaning he was throwing 101 miles an hour, which, watching this guy only hitting as a Dodger fan, to see him take the mound, to be the pitcher, get off the mound, go to the dugout, not even have a chance to go in the dugout because he's the leadoff hitter for the Dodgers. So he literally went from the mound, put his glove down, picked up the bat, and went into the batter's box. This was Little League stuff. I mean, people were just, as my grandmother said, kvelling, because it was so goosebumpy. What we were watching it was right out of Sandlot baseball last. It was quite entertaining. Plus, we beat the piece of shit Padres, which was more important.
Okay. Well, to help Boston out,
Yeah.
Perhaps this guy's available for trade.
Oh, this guy's such a good dog. Oh, look at that, Eric. Come on. Look how quick he is. And he's a southpaw. He's a lefty. Look at him. He's a lefty. Look, every time up. Same thing,
Bam.
same results. You can't beat this dog.
Nope. That's my answer to their situation.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Boston. I really do. But Devers is a piece of shit, so good luck with that. The whole thing started because they traded for Bregman, and Devers said, I want to play where I want to play. I'm not moving over. Real team player. They traded for a possibly Hall of Fame player in Bregman from the Astros, or picked him up as a free agent. And Devers said, yeah, I'm not going to cooperate. I'm not going to move to second. I'm not going to play first. Go fuck yourselves. So now he's going to be on the Giants for the rest of his life. Good luck.
All right, so let's get into the stories. Well, we obviously have the Minnesota story, so we're going to start. Big news over the weekend domestically, folks. We do know that some other things are going on. We will get into it later. We just want to have a little bit of time.
Well, this is a huge story, Eric. I mean, this is a big story. I mean,
absolutely.
It just happened. I don't know what you have to get into otherwise, but this story is so crazy that I've been watching local news out of St. Paul, Minneapolis, St. Paul, since Saturday, since this happened. This is what I have put together. I could be wrong, but this is what I've accumulated as of this afternoon. Minnesota Lawmaker Shootings, read the full list of charges. Yeah, there's plenty of charges. But
we'll get into that if that's relevant.
Right. No, absolutely. And there's federal too, right, Eric? I mean, there's going to be.
It's both. That's why but I deliberately had the charges ready because there's a question that I know that's going to come up that we'll have to discuss.
So you got this guy, Vance Boelter, right? Let me just explain this thing, and then I'll give you the timeline, how I finally was able to figure out the timeline. God forbid somebody should lay out a timeline. But the guy Boelter He starts out going to Catholic universities, one of South St. Cloud State. We got a master's of science there and a doctorate in education. He goes to Cardinal Stritch University, which is another Catholic university in Minnesota, since closed. And he gets a degree from that school. Then for 10 years, he's the general manager of a grocery store and 7-Eleven. You can't make this up. And then he leaves in 2021, becomes the CEO of the so-called Red Lion Group and the Praetorian Guard Security Service, two separate security companies he creates with his wife. His wife is the president and CEO, I think, of Red Lion, or the other one, or both. And it's definitely Praetorian Guard, because he is the director of security patrols for Praetorian. And his wife is named Jenny Boelter, and she's going to come into play in this story. I did like a minor deep dive on these people. He then, for 3 years, goes to the Congo, among other places. He's in the Congo, supposedly teaching them how to fish and how to build fishing boats to help these people in the Congo. This is an overlapping situation where he gets onto this board, appointed not by Tim Walz, but by Governor Mark Dayton. He points him to the Workforce Development Board. This is another misinformation. Walz, he was already on the board when Walz became governor, not appointed by Tim Walz. Again, okay. As far as I know, this is a Republican. This is a Trump guy, incredibly religious, incredibly anti-abortion. One of the targets was Planned Parenthood. He wrote a book about his church that I think he self-published. He went to the Congo as a religious representative of the church to teach them how to fish.
Like a missionary?
Yes, exactly. And he goes over there. He meets with various people, church kind of people in the Congo. And for some reason, he develops these security firms. Now, some people said he had no clients. However, the size of his home in Green Isles, outside of Minnesota, would be a $15 to $20 million mansion in Los Angeles. So I don't know where that money came from. I presume
it's 2 or 3 million, looking, where he is now.
Well, where he is,
in local dollars. Yeah.
Right. Oh, well, that's substantial.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's a nice house.
He then has another part-time job, which is in the city of Minneapolis, and he stays for 2 nights a week in the house where the gigantically obese guy was his roommate, quote unquote. This looked like a sober living type house. I don't mean it was a sober living. It had multiple people living in it. This is in the city itself. That's the one the Bearcats rammed. They took out the entire window. He wasn't there. And this is the guy who was reading the texts, his friend. Okay.
Papa John.
Right. Okay. So that guy reading the text, is not a roommate, but it's a guy, he's kind of a roommate, because for 2 nights a week, one night a week, he crashes overnight and then goes back to Green Isles to his mansion because he's in the city. It's too far to drive. Now, what is he doing in the city? Okay. He's transporting cadavers from the city to the funeral homes, where he removes their eyes for research from yet another company that's doing research with the eyeballs. So he takes out the eyeballs of these cadavers, goes back to this house, crashes there. And this is every week. I'm not talking about a one-off. This was another job that he had. Then he goes back to Green Isle, where his wife and 5 kids live a totally normal life as religious churchgoers in a multi-million-dollar home in an incredibly upscale rural area. It's about 50 miles outside of Minneapolis. Okay, so what happens to this guy? We don't know what happens. But on the night in question, he shows up, and this is where it gets confusing, because the names are very similar. He shows up with a list, and he's got notes, and he has found out where people live, a list of like 50 different Democrats. The Hoffmans, a couple called the Hoffmans, are shot up by him in their house. This is the first incident. He leaves the Hoffmans shot up, goes to another political couple's homes. that home, they're not home, or they're not answering the door. The Hoffmans call the police. The police then head them off at the pass at the Hortman house. The Hortmans, Melissa Hortman and her husband, are the ones that are actually eliminated by him. However, he shows up outside the house, and the police show up while he's outside the house. He then goes into the house. He kills the Hortmans inside the house with the police outside the house. Just think about what I just told you, because those are the facts. He then flees out the back of the house. This is the FBI. He was very unclear. He was very unclear about what he was talking about, this schmuck. And Viva pointed that out when he was covering it yesterday. The guy flees out the back after getting rid of the Hortmans, and the pursuit is on, which takes 44 hours. They find him relatively nearby in some bushes a couple of days later. He had texted his wife saying, "Daddy went to war last night. People are going to come looking for me. I don't want you to be there because they may be trigger happy." She gathers all the money, passports, and begins to flee. Her car is stopped. They don't know the level of complicity with the wife, but he did text her and tell her that. He's then apprehended, and now they're trying to put the pieces together. He does not have a manifesto. He had pages and pages and pages of notes on the victims' addresses and whereabouts and jobs. So just take that.
From what I understand, when he was caught by tripping a game camera.
Yeah.
They had given up the search,
Yes,
and they had a trail cam out there. He tripped it somehow, and they ran a drone up, spotted him, and then just closed in on him by
That
sector.
is absolutely true. So, I mean, you can think what you want conspiratorially. Those are the facts that I have at this time. Because people are saying that, Hortman was executed because she voted. The list was assembled already. This was not like the vote triggered him to go get Melissa Hortman. All of the people on the list, and there was like 50 to 70 of them, were Democrats. He also preached at the church. He was also a preacher. This was a guy who was fairly well revered in his community. This was not perceived as a nut. Pretty stable. I mean, I don't know the economic structure of his life. 10 years, he could have been going to school, like Eric has pointed out, to get the Master of Science, at St. Cloud and Cardinal Stritch. He might have been going to school at that time, managing the grocery store in the 7-Eleven. I'm not sure. But he does give it up in 2021. So it seems to be a little later.
Now, what was really interesting is it was reported early, and not by wild people, but by authorities, that the cops had a shootout with him. They implied that the cops showed up, and then he was there. They exchanged gunfire.
They did.
And then now here's the question though.
Okay.
If they in fact did exchange gunfire, and this is why I have the charges.
Yeah.
Why was he not charged for shooting at the police? And let's go look at the charges.
Look at the charges, because
there's
they
a lot of them.
admitted that they're not finished with the charges. So
okay, so we're gonna be waiting. So they've got federal counts. Here are the federal counts, and the federal counts are super important because that's what bumps it to federal level because of stalking.
Well, also possible execution, right, Eric?
Exactly. But well, because he can get executed federally, I don't know if he can statewide.
You can't. So, and keep in mind, the Ellison is the AG there, a complete leftist Marxist who used to work for Farrakhan.
Right. Anyway, the stock, it's the same thing with Mangione. They're using the stalking to earmark it in and then pull the rest of the charges off of it. But anyway, stalking of Melissa, stalking of John Hoffman, murder of Melissa through use of a firearm.
Right, that's Hortman. That's why there was a lot of confusion. It's Hortman and Hoffman. So it's really freaking confusing, because there was no coverage on the first couple who lived. That's the Hoffmans. They survived. No coverage on them.
That makes sense. Okay, I was like, well, wouldn't he stalk both? But no, he only stalked the one person, the politician. The husband was just collateral damage, technically.
Right, but he also went to a third home in between the two to kill them also, another politician couple. Okay. And I don't have their names. I'm sorry.
All right, so murder of Melissa Hortman, murder of Mark Hortman, Shooting of Melissa and Mark Hortman, firearms offense. Shooting of John and Yvette Hoffman, firearms offense. Now we get to the state accounts. So that was the federal. By the way, right there, you've already got death penalty land, technically. There's enough there to...
Right. Some experts locally are saying the second degree is going to be bumped up.
Which is just weird.
But that's why I'm saying the shootout thing is not on there either.
But then how the hell could you... the idea of charging second degree, but different states have different rules. Like, I think New York has a crazy thing that the only first degree murder is if you shoot a cop.
Yeah.
They might have something weird in Minnesota. I'm not an expert in their local law.
Yeah.
But anyway, second degree Melissa Hortman, second degree Mark Hortman, second degree John Hoffman. But wait, did Hoffman die? How many people did he kill? I thought he killed 2 and wounded to kill.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Well, it's saying murder. Hold on. Murder. Stalking, murder.
The dead couple in the
shooting of them. So federal, it's only shooting of them. But
right. Didn't kill them.
Did they die later? Well, because
I thought they survived in the hospital. It's very
I think they screwed up the article here.
Yeah,
because
this might be one of the articles. Every single article was wrong that I read. The early articles were completely wrong. So I dedicated the whole weekend watching local news because it was happening so fast. So I found on YouTube some local news feeds, and they were really on it, the local news there.
Sure.
I don't know about the print news. Print news was really screwed up.
Well, local news is so much better than national news in general because they know who to call, they know the different people, and they
kept going to the scenes. They kept going there.
Yeah, definitely. By the way, folks, I do see you in the chat saying that. Christy Nome was taken to the hospital. I don't know anything more other than what I saw in the chat. I looked. It doesn't look like there's any details yet. So, please let us know. I'm not ignoring you, though. I did see it.
But anyway, the getting back to this story, which now you can put your conspiracy hat on. I just wanted to give you the facts as I know it. I could be wrong, but that's the amount of facts, quote unquote facts, I have at this time on Tuesday. Now, if you want to get into his websites and his LinkedIn and his stuff, people are simply discrediting them, saying he made these up. But he claimed to be a security, person in the Middle East, in Gaza, in Saudi Arabia. The entire LinkedIn page looks like that of a mercenary.
Probably,
you know what I mean? So how do you then you start thinking, how do you market or amplify your skills as a mercenary without telling the truth if you want to segue into your own private security home that would buy you a $2 million mansion in Minnesota? How do you do that, Eric? I mean, you got to make something up.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that his actions alone imply a degree of skill.
Definitely.
One, the way he did was just sneaky and dirty as
the mask,
hell. The mask, being a cop, open up. Please. We do, it's like, hey, there could be a prowler in the neighborhood. You're like, oh, I don't know. I haven't seen anything, officer. Boom, you're dead.
People on the other side were citing the No Kings flyers that were in the back of his car. I think that was to blame the left for the thing. He was going to fling those around and spread those No Kings flyers around. That's just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. I think the guy, like his roommate said, and his roommate said that he himself was a Trump supporter, the fat guy. He said they are what they are. He doesn't make it any different. It is what it is.
Right. Well, I had mostly seen what was online, and it was a war between, people saying he was a Trump supporter and people not. And obviously people don't want an association with either side.
Right. Of course. I get it. Of course. But we're getting into this cat assassination culture, as Andy No pointed out last night. He was on Affinity, where these assassinations keep happening now on both sides. And you're talking about the Israeli couple, you're talking about Mangione, you could go back to a few others previously. This thing now, I mean, politically related executions are now the cause célèbre.
Right. And that's the worry, because we had the baseball game or softball game, whatever that
Steve
was.
Scalise, that was a Bernie Sanders supporter.
And you have Maxine Waters saying, "Get in their face, go attack." And we've got to tone down the rhetoric. I think that everyone agrees.
That is why the Padilla rushed to try to get Kristi Noem. The guy running for mayor in New York did the same thing today. There's case after case of Democrats trying to man up, quote unquote, become more masculine on camera and do these political stunts. I was talking with one of our friends of the show offline, and I said, here's another one of these where they are getting videotaped rushing or doing something where they're dragged down as a stunt. But this is all a Democratic macho attempt to man up and have these video things. Nobody knew who Padilla was. He was appointed, by the way, by the governor of California to the Senate seat. So that's why he's quiet, never does anything. He's kind of semi-retarded.
Well, it's actually a great move on his part because he gets a lot of publicity. Doesn't have to really do much.
Nope.
It's almost like flopping.
Yeah.
In a weird way. It's like, get the photo. Oh, look at the mean,
right. But a lot of them are pushing back and fighting, and somebody's going to get hurt.
Well, yeah, they're going to get hurt. I mean, there was some footage. I don't know if it was Andy No or whatever. Sure as hell, Antifa, they wanted to go and cause trouble by a motorcycle gang, which of course meant they were getting their asses beat down.
That was great to watch, by the way. That was a good one.
It is a good one. One of my worries is,
I think that was in Detroit.
People have pointed out, the smarter people, even Democrats, that they're very fortunate that the right wing, especially conservatives, tend to be very law and order oriented because it's the right wing that has the guns. And it's the right wing that can cause real damage if things start to get out of control. And you just everybody knock it off, back off. The whole Antifa thing, keeping a mask on, etc., black bloc, all that.
Well, they put legislation on the floor today in Sacramento, California, to ban masks, but only for ICE,
which is just insane. Yeah,
right.
I mean, so it's like, oh, really now? Okay.
Yeah.
And yes, I know that lefties have guns too. But if we wanted to do a poll and you wanted to do the numbers,
it's not even close.
It's not even.
No, that's crazy.
Not even comparable, guys.
Yeah, the most of them are in urban areas where it's illegal to have a gun.
And most of the ones in the urban area that have guns are busy doing. They're not political usually.
Yeah.
They're mostly crime oriented. But anyway, there are nuts all around. All right. Well, let's switch. You mentioned New York, and I do have a couple stories there.
Yeah, that mayor's race is going to be crazy. I'm telling you, if this guy gets in, this Marxist, this is
Bernie just endorsed this guy.
Oh, of course he did. Zoran. This is in one person. You've got the meeting of these two cultures. He's a Marxist and an Islamicist in one guy. You can't make this up. He will lead the entire
all the boxes.
He checks both boxes. I've never seen that. I'm sure there's plenty of them, who are Indians who came here, like the Google guy and some others, but they're not political candidates for to run the biggest city in the country.
Right, and the Google guy is probably Hindu. I don't think he's Islamic.
That I don't know. He might be Muslim.
He might be, but there's far fewer Muslims in India. They're mostly Pakistan. That's why we split Pakistan off. But,
right.
Or they split off. But anyway, one thing that was very interesting too, though, I don't have it pulled up. I just saw it kind of blowing by. Apparently, the New York Times did an anti-endorsement. Like literally, They said, "Don't let this guy in."
Even the New York Times said it. What? Really?
Right. So, and apparently, it's very rare. But from what I saw, they said, "Don't let this guy in. This guy's bad news. Don't do it. Don't do it."
Well, the problem is that there are low voter turnouts in these mayoral races. And the people who are fanatic turn out, and the average person says, not so fanatic. I don't like this guy Cuomo because of the evil that Cuomo did. So nobody's rushing to step over bodies to get to the polls to pull a lever for Andrew Cuomo. But the fanatics may pull the levers for this guy because they're fanatical.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean this has all the earmarks of a disaster.
Well, how many times have we talked about, the left and commies and all of that will take any political position, including a dog catcher. If a dog catcher is elected, they will find a way in there. Maintenance man, whatever it is, anything.
Well, this ain't dog catcher. So this has an enormous, not only that, I mean, the amount of political plums and awards that he could give out to his friends in New York is enormous. Enormous.
And thanks to Bloomberg, he could run 3 terms.
Yeah. Yeah. It could keep going.
I mean, remember Giuliani got famously termed out, and everybody was like, no, what, he can't run for a 3rd term. And here it was literally 9/11. So he was the highest of his entire career.
Yep.
Nobody, he's America's mayor, everything else, but he still, his ass was out the door that December, and what was it, Bloomberg in January?
Yep.
He was out. Then Bloomberg's like, yeah, never mind that. I'm going to go and change the law. And he managed to get it changed. So then he ran, 3 terms? Now, I'm assuming it's 3 terms. I don't know. It could be more. But what is the term limit on New York now?
Oh, I don't know right now. I think it's 3. Because of the Bloomberg law.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if it was just open or if it was 3 or what.
Well, the point of the matter is you can change it again. It's fungible. You get in there, you get a couple of city councilmen, and, bada bing, bada boom. It's 6 terms.
Yeah, well, we had a mayor in Virginia Beach who was in from 76 to, I want to say, in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's some places they can just go forever.
Well, I think Stefanik is might be victorious over Hochul. Hochul looks very weak in that governor's race there, but we'll see what happens. Things seem to be in flux, as you pointed out, in a lot of areas in the MAGA world and other places.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, we'll start. We'll talk about the MAGA world. I'm going to start out light on that one.
Light MAGA.
No, I saw this earlier and I had to laugh my ass off. Adam Carolla can be pretty funny. As he put it, Letterman should probably lay low for the next few weeks.
Oh, that's funny. That's very funny. Way to go, Carolla. You put the outfit on. If Letterman is smart, he could actually make some comedy out of that, but he apparently doesn't want to do anything.
No, I'm like, oh my Lord, that was, he nailed that one. That was fun.
Wow.
All right. So before we go into what's happening there, we did have a case that's tangentially related or could have helped cause a lot of issues. We had an ex-CIA analyst who admitted leaking docs about an Israeli strike on Iran.
Gee, I wonder what nationality he was. Yeah, what was his nationality? Did you have to wait a minute? Wait a minute. What's this guy's name? Well, how did he get in there, Hunley?
Have no idea. But
goes way back. Goes all the way back to the Russia thing. You want these analysts who speak the language and know the country, and somehow they beat the box or infiltrate inside of the thing, and they're quite patriotic to where they came from. But you need these people on your staff so you can know what's going on in those countries. It's that's what Angleton was about. That's what early CIA nightmares with moles was about.
But that's why we have a language school.
Yeah,
because even though you may not speak it as fluently, you can at least understand it. And I know Greg Hartley. We were talking about Greg Hartley with Barnes the other night. Yeah, he ran SEER school. Greg is fluent in Arabic, and he learned that because he does interrogations and things of that sort. So even if you have an interpreter who's doing an interrogation, it's very helpful if the American soldier, if you will, speaks the language. They may not be good at it. Might be clunky, but they can know.
Tell it to Marina Oswald had a spook interpreter for the Warren Commission, and they found out he was changing everything she said in the transcript. So this goes like I said, this goes back to the Cold War, into the early 60s and into the 50s, this problem.
Exactly. So I think that's why you want to definitely still train people in the language.
Yeah, yourself. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so now I want to go into Tulsi, because I think this is really important, and a lot of people have been leaning on Tulsi Gabbard and some statements she made in March, and it's kind of frustrating because I think that they're misinterpreting what in fact she said. So recently, literally last Tuesday, I missed it. We were doing the show and we didn't catch it, but she released a 3-minute video talking about her time in Hiroshima.
Oh yeah,
how she was terrified of a nuclear strike.
I recently visited Hiroshima in Japan and stood at the epicenter of a city that remains scarred by the unimaginable horror caused by a single nuclear bomb dropped in 1945, 80 years ago. It's hard for me to find the words to express what I saw, the stories that I heard, the haunting sadness that still remains. This is an experience that will stay with me forever.
Anyway, you get the point. And what she was talking about in the video was, obviously what, a tragedy it was for the people. I mean, how hard it was. And the scope and scale of the weapon yields now that was a 15 kiloton 15 ton. And now they're up to kiloton and just ridiculous levels of impact. They're much more potent, much more powerful. Now, it's just my opinion. I don't know, but why did she happen to release that video right at the point that the negotiations were getting hot and Israel was going to hit Iran within a couple days, possibly?
There could be a little bit of democratic peacenik still left in her, Eric.
I think she was actually warning against the scary nature of Iran having a nuclear weapon.
Okay, that's a good take. That's a good take.
It's just a thought, but anyway, that's kind of where
the IEAE, the official nuclear agency that we've depended on, issued an statement the whole week about their official report on Iran's violation of nuclear policy and them having this underground laboratory in the mountains. And apparently nobody is citing this thing. And I've read it last night and today. And this is, printed in the BBC, it was in the Guardian, it was in the New York Times. It's the reports of the official organization talking about the Iranians ducking recently, the past couple of days, the report came out.
Right. Now let me reach back though, because I want to complete this little thesis. People that we know, people we're friends with, etc. A lot of people are quoting Tulsi Gabbard in March, saying, hey, if there's something going on, why did she literally say nothing was going on? Well, here's the problem. It's kind of like the find people on both sides hoax.
Oh.
If you look at this, and somebody put it together nicely for me, but you see, there's 18 seconds that were shared that everybody is marching around about.
Okay.
And this adds the second 18 seconds of the 37-second clip. So the first 18 seconds is saying one thing. The second half adds some context. So let's go ahead and watch the entire thing, which I think is important.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
Okay, so there's no problem, right? Nothing wrong. So let's keep listening.
In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons in public, likely emboldening nuclear weapons advocates within Iran's decision-making apparatus. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is at its highest levels and is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons.
Right.
The IC
go ahead.
That's it.
No, that's what's in the report.
That's
what's in the recent report.
I know that, but see how cutting it, just that first half?
They're shameless. It really is shameless.
I think it's important to see.
Well, that's why Trump said simply, I don't care what you said. He just he didn't get into what you're showing because he doesn't have time for that. He simply said, I don't care what she said, which is so Trumpian,
When she came out today and said, Trump and I are in agreement.
Yeah, no, I got it.
And he just reiterated what I said then, too.
Right. Everybody's trying to find a way to split people up. And like I said last week, I think there's a major psyop trying to split up MAGA. People go, no, I can't be influenced. Well, then you're a special person. If you can't be influenced by a psyop, I'm sorry, then you got superpowers.
Right. Now, do I want any more to happen? No. I like Sean Spicer's view on this, where he's saying this is 80% negotiation with Trump. Trump wants them to come to the table.
Of course.
And say, let's go. Let's get a deal. We can get a deal now.
Absolutely.
We can
And
prevent
to
all
our,
of this.
to our MAGA friends who are yelling and screaming, more power to you, because the administration has heard you. I understand your motivation. You was yelling and screaming to get their hearing, to get heard. I get it. And now he's heard you, and he has a plan. Trust Trump. Don't trust anybody else. Trust Trump. Playing good cop and bad cop in a game with Bibi Netanyahu is Trump's plan. He's having his pit bull do his bidding so he can bring them to the table. I know this sounds complicated, but it's really quite simple. And everything about the Ukraine does not sound so simple. $800 billion and 1.5 million dead is not the same as surgical strikes by the Israeli Air Force, my friends. I'm sorry you don't like the state of Israel and you don't like the Jews, but let's be honest. Look at Ukraine. Look at what we did there. Look what the full force neocon army of the United States did in this battlefield. I mean, this is 4 years of bloodshed, 1.5 million people dead, $800 billion in US money, and people have lost their shit over airstrikes against one of the most terrorist, theocratic, brutal regimes on the earth. It's a little out of proportion. Let me just put it that way.
All right. Somebody in the chat saying surgical my ass. Okay. Well,
let's surgical your ass. Tell me about how many casualties.
I was going to say, where show me the pictures, because believe me, I've seen lots of pictures from Gaza all the time.
Yeah. I know.
Where are all those pictures?
I'm sorry for your loss. You put your eggs in the wrong basket. Stick with Trump. He knows what he's doing here. This is not George Bush. I know you think it's George Bush, but this is not your pappy's George Bush anymore. This is a whole different animal in Donald Trump.
Yep.
I remember when they took out Soleimani, that they said I was going to be World War III.
Yeah, and they fired a few missiles and then they were done.
That's right.
And I think they even said that they were done. But you know what? And now the people who are saying, impeach Trump, like Dave Smith, who somehow
you want to explain that to me? I'm a little confused about who this guy is and what his take is. This, like you pointed out, this libertarian thing, which I don't recognize as a thing. I know it's a thing. I just don't recognize what they are. I don't really. It's confusing to me what this guy's motivation is, and maybe there's a few others. I'm not really sure. But the MAGA people are not necessarily libertarian, Eric, right?
No, they're not. But a lot of them are crying that Trump lied, that he didn't do that. So let's look at that. Here's a nice little piece put together.
Trump, they pointed out, was elected on getting us out of wars in the Middle East.
You cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
When did Trump suggest that Iran was even on his mind?
Everybody, no nuclear weapons. You can't give them nuclear weapons.
It'd be one thing if Trump had campaigned on stopping Iran's nuclear program.
Don't let Iran have nuclear weapons. That's my only thing I have to tell you today.
How many times can he say
this? To
this?
just foist this policy on us, completely out of the blue.
Including Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. That's all. They can't have nuclear weapons. It's too destructive, too powerful. They can't have it.
Without any warning.
I just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon.
Well, it's a betrayal, wouldn't you say? What else do you call it when you say one thing on the campaign trail?
Yeah.
They cannot have a nuclear weapon. That was the only thing. The one thing I said, you cannot have.
And another thing when you get into office.
You can't let Iran have nuclear weapons.
I don't want the U.S. to get bogged down in another war in the Middle East. I think many of the arguments regarding Iran are bogus, as I've said repeatedly on the show.
Anyway, I thought
that sums it up. I mean, that really does. It does sum it up. I mean, he has said this since before he was president. I mean, this goes way back, and all of a sudden, people are losing their shit because he says they can't have a nuclear weapon. They think it's a game show, that they'll just give up their program like Gaddafi did and then get dragged out of a viaduct by his own people and beaten to death. That's not going to happen with Iran. But nevertheless, I mean, you have to put some pressure on them to destroy their nuclear program, give it up, come to the table. He gave him 60 days of negotiation. They told him to go F himself. And that was where this thing started. Going after Netanyahu, his bad cop, doesn't really help us for policy in the United States. This is about the guy we elected. Forget about Netanyahu. I know you don't like him for reasons that I can't understand, because his wife stole a pocketbook one time. And Obama tried to overthrow him, putting tons of your tax dollars into the hands of his opponents, trying to get him out of office. This is about Trump. This is Donald Trump's policy. Has nothing to do with anything but us as a MAGA unit.
But you know what? You're right, though, Mark. It's not just Israel who is concerned about Iran. Let's hear from an Arabic country, because obviously everybody loves Iran over there except for Israel. Israel is just a bully that is so horrible.
Neighborhood bully.
Let's listen to Saudi Prince.
Iran is not a rival to Saudi Arabia. Its army is not among the top 5 armies in the Muslim world. The Saudi economy is larger than the Iranian economy. Iran is far from being equal to Saudi Arabia.
But I've seen that you called the Ayatollah Khamenei the new Hitler of the Middle East.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because he wants to expand. He wants to create his own project in the Middle East, very much like Hitler, who wanted to expand at the time. Many countries around the world and in Europe did not realize how dangerous Hitler was until what happened. I don't want to see the same events happening in the Middle East.
Does Saudi Arabia need nuclear weapons to counter Iran?
Saudi Arabia does not want to acquire any nuclear bomb. But without a doubt, if Iran developed a nuclear bomb, we will follow suit as soon as possible.
There you go. So, folks, do you want Saudi to get a nuke? I mean, 9/11 wasn't that long ago. There's a lot of weird ties there. Do we want Saudi Arabia to get a nuke? So
it's not a question of wanting. Most of the polling that I've seen, it's 78 to 80% of the American people are opposed to Iran getting a nuclear weapon. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I don't want, to get a social disease. What am I going to do to prevent myself from getting a social disease? Now, I can only, like I said to you before the show, it reminds me of 1938, 1939, the American people, the anti-Semitism in this country, just to take you back, I'm sorry, the anti-Semitism in the country, America as a country, was off the charts. The eugenics movement was based in Pasadena, California, picked up by the Third Reich and amplified by the Third Reich. There was a movement in the United States led by this guy, Charles Lindbergh. Charles Lindbergh, just to give it a comparison, was the equal of Elon Musk. Elon Musk and just in fame and aviation and star status, airplanes versus rockets. Charles Lindbergh was the darling of the Third Reich. He went over there. He helped them. He was their advisor. He was greeted by Goering on occasion with the Third Reich and the American Nazis here in New York. This is Lindbergh with some of his Nazi friends. This is the equivalent of, even though he was an American, this is a real Nazi salute. This is at a Nazi rally in New York. This is Charles Lindbergh. Lindbergh was a rock star in the American political world and in the social world. He was the Elon Musk of our country at that time. This guy had a group, oddly enough and ironically enough, called America First. That was the name of Charles Lindbergh's group. We're putting this up. Obviously, this is not the same thing, but we're putting it up just for irony purposes of Musk giving a mock salute, having nothing to do with the Nazis.
Well,
Lindbergh,
it's not a salute, it's a wave. And just to point it out, because if you look at Lindbergh, notice his hand is coming up from his side, straight up. I'm not going to emulate it because I'm not going to get screen captured.
This was at a Nazi rally, the Lindbergh one. So it's not really, there's no debate as to Lindbergh's loyalty to the Third Reich. I mean, Hitler had photos of Lindbergh in his office in Berlin. I'm just drawing a comparison to the environment. And then this is Goering on the right, the head of the Luftwaffe, a morphine addict. And he was giving this award to Charles Lindbergh. The reason I mention this is because anti-Semitism was through the roof in the United States at that period of time. The Germans knew this. They preyed upon it. They banned Jews from being in films in Germany, American films. And there was a lot of people complying with them because, after all, it was just the Jews. And what happened was nobody wanted to get involved because they kept saying over and over again, it's just the Jews. They kept saying that we can't get involved. We're an isolationist country. They killed 6 million in the Holocaust, and the New York Times put it on page 20. You could read about this. I'm not making it up. There's plenty of books on the subject of this America First movement until the 1941, when FDR declared war in Germany and Japan. The movement kind of dissipated, but it was quite ferocious, and it reminded me this past week of that period of time, which is why I brought this up.
True. Well, but then, Germany had other friends.
Yeah.
Like this guy.
Yeah, they had this guy. Now, this is the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem. He is the great uncle of Yasser Arafat, and that's the famous chicken farmer from Germany, a guy named Himmler. And they were so hot to trot on the Jews in the Middle East, the Nazis in the Third Reich, that they gave this guy, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, his own SS unit named after him. Here he is receiving this Martin Luther on the right. This some of the top Nazis and Middle Eastern officials, and you see him walking with them. They literally gave him his own SS regiment named after him that he commanded in Bosnia. This is the Grand Mufti.
Who's that guy on the right?
The guy on the right, some old friend of the Grand Mufti, and he's telling him there was a plan originally to get rid of the Jews in Jerusalem and Israel by Hitler, and then Hitler said, "I will deal with it after the war." He didn't want to divert a lot of his stuff. He went into North Africa, but he said that this guy, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Yasser Arafat, the founder of the Palestine Liberation Organization, his great uncle, here he is with his SS troops. This is in Bosnia, marching with them here. You see the death signal on the death sign on their helmets and everything else that goes with the SS. This goes so far back. This is in the 1940s. This is how far back this relationship goes with the fascists. So there's no love lost between the Third Reich and the people of Israel. And there's no love lost today either, because this is the natural descendant. This is where it came from originally, with the SS and the Third Reich trying to eradicate the Jews in Israel.
Oh, everybody's got to have friends, Mark.
No, I'm just trying to put some history on it so people know that, how dare you support these people. I mean, yeah, this is part of his regiment there in Bosnia. And
it's funny. It's not just, throwing around the term.
No,
Nazi, no, it's like pictures of him hanging out with them.
That's why I'm showing you this. I mean, we learned this in school when we were kids. I mean, this is not anything, relatively new. I mean, but it is to people who don't understand the history of the region, the history of Europe, the history of warfare, and just go batshit crazy. When someone who's not Jewish tells me that something's not anti-Semitic, my red flag goes up in my head. Like, really, you're going to tell me what's not anti-Semitic and what is? I get a little nervous from that.
But Mark, Churchill was the real villain of World War II. Don't you understand?
Yeah. Look, as Eric has pointed out to me repeatedly, a lot of these guys, and Eric's found some links to this, they may just be grifters using anti-Semitism to get clicks, which Eric may be right on that. There seems to be quite a few of the Candace Owens types spin-offs, Eric, right?
Yeah, or you even have accounts like this. There was a data breach in 2023 where all the accounts got pulled out of Twitter, and this account right here, allegedly, Red Pill Media. I'm an American citizen, born and raised in America. I refuse to die for Israel. Wait, let's look. Oh, it's Abdul Abbas from Karachi, Pakistan.
Oh boy. Again, I believe there's a massive psyop going on to split the MAGA movement with Marxist elements of the Democrat. I can't prove this. This is just my hunch. This is just anecdotal, folks. I believe it would be stupid if they weren't doing it, because it's obviously an effective tool, and the results are obviously happening. I mean, they would like to split this MAGA movement, and what I'm trying to do is calm the fuck down. Trump's got this. He's not putting boots on the ground. He's not taking your sons and daughters. That's not what he's ever been about. He's not going to start doing it now. I know you don't trust him, even though you voted for him. But that's the reality of this guy. I mean, he wants to get peace in the Middle East. This is another way he's doing it with this regime. I'm sorry if you don't trust the guy, if you think he's a maniac. I can't help you. But the reality of it is this dog and pony show he's doing with good cop, bad cop with Bibi is not that complicated to see through. He's now using J.D. Vance to go out into social media to calm these people down, reaching out to various people in social media to hold their hands through this troubled time, which is a smart move.
It's a shame that he kind of has to, but it's he does give a damn what MAGA says.
I know,
but I hate to say to other people's credit, has the U.S. ever provided boots on the ground in a single Israeli conflict?
Zero.
Okay. And now, of course, you have some people who are arguing right now that Israel is behind it. Like they're literally saying that Israel and Netanyahu put us in Iraq. And last time I checked, it was Colin Powell.
Dude, there's plenty of Colin Powell footage. And, it's amazing how they... Again, this goes to the protocols of the elders of Zion, that there's these Jewish masterminds who are going to hypnotize American military and give them money somehow to these congressmen to make. It's an entirely insane conspiracy theory that apparently goes as far back as the protocols of the elders of Zion. It ain't going to hunt with this president. I'm sorry for your loss. I mean, this guy has Jewish grandchildren. I'm sorry. This is not your guy. This is not George Lincoln Rockwell. This is Donald Trump.
Yeah, just to clarify, man, I might be paranoid. I just don't want words put in her mouth. I'm not saying Iraq was handled well. I think Iraq was a pile of garbage. And ironically, at the time, a lot of people were saying, why are you screwing with Iraq? Because Saddam really he didn't have many ambitions outside of harming his own people. Versus Iran. And a lot of people at the time said, well, if you're so concerned about the Middle East, why are you ignoring Iran and you're messing with Iraq, etc.?
I agree with you. I agree with you. All I'm saying is you don't have to go back 20 years. Look at the Ukraine 20 weeks ago. Look at the Ukraine yesterday. Nobody's looking at this 1.5 million dead in a World War III that the Biden administration created out of thin air and the media refused to cover. There's no battle scenes. There's no death scenes. There's no bodies. There is nothing. This is the biggest warfare story in the history of the United States. But you'd rather get involved with surgical airstrikes to take out the regime in Tehran than to look at the actual World War III going on right now on the ground with a nuclear powered Russia that has far more nukes than we do, that is being provoked day after day after day by the EU and especially by the Brits, who took out their long-range bombers, not because they couldn't reach Kiev, but because they couldn't reach London. This is the real World War III that's going on, and yet no one says a damn word about it.
I agree. Now,
it's shocking.
I'm going to
really
keep going. I'm going to keep going back
20
20 years, though, because I like talking about the region, because there's a mirroring there. One other thing I'm going to point out with people, whatever you think about 9/11 or anything else, why was it we struggled so hard to go chase Taliban and Al-Qaeda in Pakistan? What is it about Pakistan that we said, we can't really do much about it when they're in there? Yeah. Did they have anything in particular that made them very risky to toy with? Like, say, a nuclear weapon? Why is it we can't do anything about North Korea other than just go, God, just keep them calm, keep them calm, keep them calm. But sorry about all those people. Sorry about what's going on. Just not shit.
Yeah, Eric's right.
Because they have a nuclear
weapon, it changes the entire political zeitgeist of the region. That's why Trump is so hot and heavy about stopping this from happening. The extent that he'll go to is going to be determined by Trump. Obviously, the bunker buster bombs is really what the main thing here is in this air campaign. And he wants to prevent, and he has said this, and he got elected for this, to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. I can't look, there's 800 million times where Trump has said this, and all of a sudden these people think they're being sandbagged. It's kind of crazy.
And even that, I don't know. You know more about Israel and training than I do, probably because I think you've studied it more. I'm guessing that Israel probably has B-52 qualified pilots and could be loaned a bomb and a weapon. To just say, here you go. The same way that we provided weapons to Ukraine, not that I support all of it, but technically speaking, they could be provided or they could be sold a bomb, one bunker busting bomb and a plane rental, and they can do it themselves.
Look, I mean, Iran has funded, Hamas. They funded the Houthis. They killed us in a Marines barracks. 183 Marines, I think, were blown up. I mean, at some point, you got to pay the piper for these things. I mean, at least take away their nuclear opportunity at a minimum. You know what I mean? I don't really care about the regime change.
No, because you don't know what's underneath.
I don't really care about that.
That was the mistake of Iraq. I mean, honestly, I'd rather just bring them to the table.
I don't think all of these wars are linked. Again, everybody keeps thinking they're all linked together. They're not. I support what's going on now. I do not support what's going on in the Ukraine. I mean, and all of this stuff is not black and white, people. There's a lot of gray in these policies. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But there's still lessons to be learned.
Absolutely.
Regime change didn't work so well in Syria, Libya, Iraq. We do know that there's a lot of really bad hombres, like they like to say, underneath. That's an enemy we know. It would be better if you could put them to heel and get them to open up and say, we surrender. We can go in there, clear it all out. And we do all that.
We just implemented complete regime change in Syria. Not one person mentioned it. Zero. Yeah. We just took Syria from Russia. Did you guys bring that up? We've now put Syria, for better or for worse, we handpicked some maniac to do our bidding.
Yeah, an Al-Qaeda guy.
Right. And that nobody gives a shit about that. But Israel, you don't understand, Mark. It's Israel, Netanyahu. We've got a total maniac on our side. I mean, a legitimate crazy maniac running Syria, but they wanted to change the regime. What Eric's talking about is absolutely correct, but there was regime change in Syria 5 seconds ago, and it wasn't even reported in the New York Times.
And I hate to be cruel, but it's so tough over there. You almost have to have a maniac in order to hold the people down. I mean, that's part of why Iraq blew up, is that Saddam Hussein was a strong man and evil and a maniac, but ISIS weren't really nice, and a lot of these other people weren't nice.
I agree. I'm just saying
Gaddafi.
The hypocrisy involved in all of these policies is breathtaking. The Soleimani taking out by Trump. They thought that was going to lead to World War III. I mean, like I said, we literally have this mega war going on, where the EU is putting $1 trillion into raising their own army to fight Putin, and people are worried about the Ayatollah's beard. I mean, the priorities are sickening.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's going to be our take. I'm sure that
that's my take.
We'll hear in the comments about this.
Say whatever you want about it. Knock yourselves out. This thing's going to be over soon, and your comments will not be over soon because they will be in stone. And they may come back to haunt you. And that's to a lot of my friends out there. Remember what you're saying, because people cut and clip and show things after events are long over with.
Yeah. And again, I want everything to end. I want him to come to the table. I want it to go away. I don't like talking about this topic. Mark and I have been back and forth all day. It's like, okay, I do want to do it. Okay, we're looking forward.
There's nothing I can say about it. I mean, from my point of view, it brings up every anti-Semitic thing in the world, and it at least brings them into the bright light of sunshine to see these creeps who are Jew haters and anti-Semites. I've seen them my whole life, so it's nothing new to me. Eric's kind of getting an education the past couple of years on this subject. But it's not new to us. And a lot of them are coming out from underneath their crevices, like people that Eric's pointed out, that maniac who hangs out with Candace Owens, that Ian guy, and Nick Fuentes, and all these other people. This is I didn't know these individuals when we first
Well, like
started.
Nick Fuentes is a great example. Barnes literally debated Nick Fuentes 4 years ago on Alex Jones, and I will say one thing I appreciate about Nick Fuentes, though.
He's honest.
He says Jews. He doesn't hide it.
Right. No,
it's like
I did that.
every fifth word is the
Yeah.
Jews.
Yeah.
He doesn't even slip up. Doesn't worry about Israel. He just says the Jews. Just
Yeah,
go.
I
And
appreciate his honesty.
yeah, I mean, and you have Ian Carroll is the Ian guy. He was just on with Candace Owens, and it was so funny because they were talking about Dave Portnoy going wild. Now, Dave Portnoy is Jewish, and Candace Owens did one of her. Did you like her
Oh yeah.
expression that where it's like, oh, you're so shocked expression, and then she goes, well, how many reasons could he have to be like that? And Ian Carroll's like, I don't know, 6 minutes. Oh, I mean, it's so juvenile, and
It really
and
is juvenile.
really
It really
frustrating.
is like 13-year-olds doing this. It's sickening. It really is sickening. And the fact that they're making tons of money off of it is really sickening. That they
Yep.
are milking this thing. And I love Alex Jones. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of Alex Jones, and I know he's broke, and I know he needs the money. But do not do it on the back of Israel and the Jews, Alex. Please, you'll make money again. Do not exacerbate a situation right now that's in the zeitgeist where people are getting assassinated in Washington, D.C. for working for Israel. I understand your situation, but do not exacerbate this thing, please.
I agree 100%. And in order to arm yourself to be ready for all arguments and everything ahead,
What do you need?
it's always a
Hunley?
good idea to, well, you need to get some coffee, because we got to keep up with whatever subjects are coming along. And my current flavor is the Magic Bullet Blend.
There should be a
It's
gunshot. We
unreal.
should have sound effects for these things. Like
There
a
you go.
gunshot. To go. with
I'm
the
supposed to
magic.
get some footage from. I do want to cut an actual ad that I
That
could
would be
run in
funny.
the middle.
Yeah.
It would be cool. But our coffee is fantastic. Whatever side you're on, however you believe, this can keep you, MAGA, leftists, you're all welcome. It's coffee. It's neutral. It's just delicious flavor, and everybody can have a good time. Somebody's asking about iced coffee. I don't normally do iced coffee, but I will tell you that I let
like
it go
iced coffee.
stone cold, and I just drink it. And my father-in-law, he does a variant of iced coffee. Like, he cooks a pot, and he has it hot one day, and then he has it in the fridge, and then he drinks it cold the next day. Same pot, and
that.
it's this coffee. So I think it's fine. I mean, unless there's something special that you do further on the iced coffee, this makes tremendous iced coffee. Why? Because it's not burned. The secret to coffee, and I never realized, is that almost all coffee is burnt, and this is not. You can have a dark roast, not burnt. Anyway, it does help us out, help support the channel, and I'm really, really proud of the product. It's not just something I'm pushing just because, oh, look, it's a white label coffee. It is actually a veteran-owned roastery, and they're good people. And I really hope you guys consider checking out. It's great stuff. So let me see. What do we have?
You see the picture of the girl on the tank, the Secret Service girl with high heels?
God.
You want, because what's her name brought this up? The girl who's covered the Secret Service for the newspaper. I forget her name, but she knows who this is, and she is riding on the tank in the Army parade with her Secret Service badge and high heels on. I don't know what this image is, but it's the
What was
equivalent.
boots? It wasn't high. It was like boots with a little heel on it. It wasn't high heels.
No, that's not what she says, and I'm not a woman, so I don't know shoe wear. But the woman reporter indicated that these were heels. Let me put it that way. But it looked like this might be the equivalent of our Michael Dukakis in a tank photo at the parade.
It wasn't ideal. I'll have to look. I don't have that queued up.
Well, there's also news in the Matthew Perry case. These doctors are being sentenced to pretty long-term sentences. They pled guilty. There's 2 OC doctors, I think, regarding the ketamine situation with Matthew Perry. I think it was their text messages that really buried them, saying how much can we take this schmuck for is not really medical jargon, Eric, in their text messages. So there were the suppliers to the ketamine queen who operated in the Hollywood hoi polloi.
What's
Hollywood
her sentence?
She hasn't come up yet. They're going first.
Okay.
Yeah, in other words, it's a trickle down effect where the doctors are going first because they're going to. They pled guilty, so they're going to testify against her.
I assumed as much, but
Yeah.
they're getting long. Oh well, you know he counts.
Well, they're facing long. They haven't gotten long.
Well, here's an image for everybody to sleep better at night.
Oh boy. This is the craziest marriage, Uma Abedin, and obviously this creepy Soros guy. Ew. I mean, break them up, please. This is so crazy. First of all, I don't know why he would. This is a guy, whatever you think of his father, whatever you think of him, because of his money and because of his connections, he could have had the hottest chick in France ever born. He could have had the hottest, girl from the United States, and he ends up with this skank, Uma Abedin. I mean, how
maybe
well
he's not really interested in.
I'm saying it can't possibly be for Uma Abedin. Holy crap, is she one ugly skank? I mean,
well, look at her taste in men too. She's got.
She's
coming off of the rebound of Wiener. This is the Wiener bound.
I mean, look at it from her point of view. Landing the wealthiest man or one of the wealthiest men on the earth. I mean, more credit to Uma Abedin. What is her superpower?
Well, some might say that she's already in another relationship. If you know what I'm saying.
Oh boy,
like that. Like maybe it's a double
Trouble?
beard.
Is it a trouble?
Or maybe it's just a double beard.
Is it like polyfamily, a quad? By the way, people did write to me saying they watched it because I mentioned it and they love the show.
Which
polyfamily.
Okay, this is how different we are and sad we are. Mark is watching this just weird, I'm going to say twisted, goofy shit. I'm watching Welcome to Wrexham, which is just really a heartwarming story about a town in Wales that has a football team bought by Ryan Reynolds and some other Hollywood douchebag. They buy this town's football team who's in the lowest of the low leagues for super low money, and it's all about them building it up, and they go around interviewing all the people in the town and what it means to everybody. It's a really great show. I really enjoy it.
Well, I will counter with Battered Bastards of Baseball on Netflix, which is a baseball team out of Portland, independent league team run by Kurt Russell's father, the actor, who owns the team, and how they win the championship with a bunch of misfits and fuck-ups on their team, which is also the American version of what Eric's talking about, I think.
There you go. Yeah. I mean,
and Kurt Russell's in it. He used to play second base for the team. It's Goldie Hawn's husband, Kurt Russell. And
did they ever get married?
I don't know if they got married. I'm not really.
But they've been together for like 40 years.
Yeah. I mean, Kurt Russell and Great American Actors. I Snake plus him, I think, from Escape from L.A. and Escape from New York. But anyway, the point of the matter is there's stuff out there like what Eric was talking about on the American side, and this polyfamily thing is from some Eugene, Oregon town, or Lebanon, Oregon, wherever the hell that is, where everyone in the town they interview, they go, how do you feel about this quad situation? They go, well, it's not for me, but good luck. Like every single person, so they go, they're super polite, and they go, is this something you would think of doing? Oh no, I'm happily married, but good luck to them. Thanks for.
I'm waiting for the one honest person to say, depends on what they look like.
Right. Or say they don't even say it's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of. They're just like, oh, it's just not for me. It's great for them. It's just not for me.
Well, I mean, it's near Portland, right?
These are people
they have a show,
Portland.
Portlandia. I mean, isn't it known for just?
They've left Portland to do this. These are Portland people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, I don't know.
It's a train wreck, but it's enjoyable to watch.
Okay, well, there we go. But that just gives you an idea of our entertainment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Everybody, we recommend all these shows, and may you enjoy whatever you have. This is kind of a cool story that.
I meant to tell you one thing. Mobland with Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren, which I've been watching, with a guy who's their enforcer named Tom Hardy. It's on Prime. You can find it. It's really well done. They asked Pierce Brosnan, "Who do you think should be Bond?" He didn't skip 1 second. He said Tom Hardy. Didn't even skip a beat, Eric.
Oh, about Brosnan recommending Hardy for Bond?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I saw that. You froze for a second. I didn't hear you.
Yeah,
But,
no,
okay,
yeah. Brosnan said Tom Hardy. So that makes me and Brosnan linked together now.
There you go. There you go.
He's right. He's absolutely right.
Okay. This is a story that my friend Ian Runkle has been covering, but it's a pretty cool story overall. I don't know if you've heard about this Proven Locks. There's a lock company, and they had like a trailer lock.
Okay.
And this trailer lock, they advertise as like, this lock is so good, nobody can break it, blah, 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 blah. And this YouTuber, TikToker, or whatever, he picks locks. That's just something he does. Everybody's got their own shtick. Well, somebody tagged this guy McNally. That's his last name. And they said, "Hey, what about McNally? Has he seen this lock?" And McNally and the company replied back saying, "Oh, he only picks low grade locks because LOL, he doesn't have the ability, LOL." So the guy is like, "Oh, really?" So he went and he took a can, like, Liquid Death or a soda can.
Okay.
Cut it, slid it in, and then popped the lock and put it on video. So then they went after him saying a cease and desist because he was replying to their own video. And so they did a copyright claim against him. And they were saying he's mocking. No, it gets better. And they were saying that he lied. He was falsely doing it. So he did another video, and the video was fantastic.
First, we need to open.
It was it's 3 minutes long, approximately. And you got to check this out.
The box to get the box. So here we have the box that came out of the other box.
He's got the box. Boom, boom, boom.
And we're going to do another episode of 5 Minute Crafts that.
Oh, he's doing it right there on the floor.
Right
so
there, he's opening it fresh.
Liquid Death in the original packaging, so it wasn't tampered with.
I guess he'd be fun at parties.
Yeah,
chug like a beer.
It's like the Houdini of.
Yeah, you can't.
But I love this.
Do that with a beach full of
She's
McCoy.
wearing a GoPro doing this.
They have the same scissors.
There you go.
All right, here's the lock.
Very dexterous, this guy. Takes me an hour to open those boxes.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, the guy is very dexterous.
Make sure the lock operates.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Is that the lock?
That's the lock. It's like
Sometimes
a lock.
they don't.
Put it on that
I
trailer.
recommend those scissors. Those
Particular brand,
scissors
but
are great.
it's happened where I
Yeah, you can
got
see
the
how
brand
useful
lock.
they are. Yeah.
Doesn't even work. You can still pick it though, which is interesting.
Look at it, it's like paper, Eric.
So anyways, cut the top off, put a slit down the side. And just cut a strip out. We're going to round it out. I'll remove this side because it's messed up. And you don't have to do that. I'm just doing it.
He has skills.
Yeah.
Lacerate myself on a aluminum shim. And that's it. You don't have to measure anything. No science, no math needed. Just going to shim it into the back. Make sure we're fully seated behind the latch. Give it a few pumps. There it is.
Oh my God, it's terrible. That's terrible. So why are they suing him? What does he care? I mean, what do they
that's
care?
the thing. They called him a liar, and they literally sued him. So he just ordered right there. And I mean, I love his presentation. He pulls it out of the box. There was nothing that could be shown.
That was great. That was great.
So they're still suing him, and now they're going after him further for the second video. But now it's like the Streisand effect. Everybody is sharing this video, which I just did right now. So
well, who would buy that
screw you.
lock after seeing that?
Right, and this is a public service.
Yeah.
They should know that this lock is.
You know what I would do if I was Master Locks? I'd hire that guy right now. Right now, Master Locks is number one in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Hire him and let him do videos trying to break the master lock to no avail.
Yeah, well, a lot of companies like that do hire ex-felons and things like that, and say, "Here, go at it." And famously, Frank Abagnale was hired at one point, even though his whole story is kind of a
catch me
scam.
as you can guy.
Right, even though he was lying on a lot of it. I know, ironic that a con man was conning with his story, but an example of one thing he did do supposedly is hired by an ATM company. And early ATMs, I don't know if you remember, they had a plastic door that, the money would come down, and then you flip up the door, reach inside and get the money. So his thought was he took some super glue, glued the door down.
Oh, right.
And then walked away. So the money would go down, people would give up, and then you just smash with the hammer and go pull the money out. So there you go.
Yeah, I had a guy in rehab, Armenian gang kid, whose job was to put a pin camera above the pin pads in the vestibules of banks, and then get the pin numbers and crank out credit cards with the pin number. Literally make the cards, which was a separate part of their operation, from the pin number they just got. And he'd retrieve the camera. He put it in the false ceiling right above the pin pads in the vestibules.
I hate that. That's the thing. By the way, that's public advice, guys. If you ever go to pay for your gas or whatever, if you could do tap to pay, always use tap to pay. Watch out for.
I think tap to pay exists for that because of that.
Oh yeah.
I think that was their response.
Well, but tap to pay's been around forever and everywhere else in the world, though. So that's the thing. Here we're so slow. Like I was listening to a YouTuber, Linus Tech Tips, and he was complaining about when he goes to America. He goes, "I can't believe I still hand my credit card off and they walk away from me into another room."
Yeah,
what is
that's
it?
where they copy it.
Because in Canada, they come to the table, and it's starting to come around here, and I like it where they come to the table with a reader. And then you just stick it in there, you punch it, and you go.
We have that here. Yeah. And even in Honolulu,
that's what it should be. I mean, it's like, geez, you could do Apple Pay with the watch.
Even my hair cutter brings that thing to my place to cut my hair. She brings that thing.
Yeah, like Square, right? She has Square.
Yeah.
Swipe your card, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's mind-boggling we're that slow in doing this. But all right, well, here's a story. 2020. I don't know if you've already seen this, but this broke today. Kash Patel.
Yeah, what does this mean? Interpret this for me, because I don't know what it actually means. I'm happy, but what am I happy about?
Well, apparently China was mass producing driver's licenses and whatever else for people to be able to vote and get ballots. Or
I like that. I like that. I mean, we had the Chinese guy that fled back to China. He was arrested. I think Newsom got him out, and he fled back to China. He was also involved in election fraud. But yeah, I think all roads lead to China.
A lot of them do. A lot of them do. And let me see, was there any prior president's family that maybe had financial ties with China?
Well, I think all of these Chinese politicians are suspect. Not to get the Swalwells off the suspect list. I mean, the cats like Ted Lieu. I'm sorry. That's where you got to look where the obvious low-hanging fruit is first. That Michelle Wu in San Francisco, this other chick up in Oakland, before
Boston mayor.
That's what I mean. Michelle Wu, I think. Out of Boston. Yeah. Go for them first. Tap into their phones, see who they're talking to. I mean, during the height of the COVID lockdowns here, Garcetti, the mayor of LA, was seen at 7:30 every morning going into the Chinese embassy in Los Angeles. Nothing suspect about that. Nothing surprisingly bizarre in the middle of a lockdown that the mayor would go to the Chinese embassy every morning.
Wow. I don't know. But you know what does make everything better? Super chats.
Oh, yeah.
Pamela Clifton here saying Happy Tuesday. Well, thank you, Pamela. Happy Tuesday to you.
And she's a big Trump supporter.
Oh, she is. She was a Bobby Kennedy supporter.
Yeah.
And it came on board.
Yeah.
With RFK, and came to Trump, which I deeply appreciate. Pew Pew is back, gifting 10 America's Untold Stories memberships, which we always appreciate. Thank you so much, Pew Pew. He's out of Norway. I think he's a Trump supporter.
He's out of Norway. Wow.
Yep. And remember, he's the one that it took.
Oh, right. It went all around the world. Yeah.
It literally traveled through Australia.
Yeah.
It circled the planet to get to him.
Yeah.
Which
He's
is
a
just
big supporter
insane.
of the show.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Mike Schaefer, also a great supporter of the show. We can't save them if they don't want to be saved.
It's true about a lot of things. I mean, that's true in the drug addiction world too. I mean, you can't give them treatment unless they surrender and ask for help. You can't just take these people off the streets. And Drew and I talk about this all the time. That these homeless meth addicts, Drew thinks it's about, he has said as high as 90% of the people on the street, are there for drug abuse. But you can't just wave a magic wand and put them in treatment and they're done. It doesn't work like that. And the left refuses to even acknowledge that they're drug addicts. So that doesn't help.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there a problem with that too? There's almost I want to say a poetic vibe or artistic vibe. Like there's some sort of like image, artistic image of the forlorn drug abuser, that they're just this lost soul.
Well, it's also
really beautiful.
Historically, it's been an upper class safety net issue because they have so many safety nets. They feel that the drug addiction is not a problem. In other words, just generically speaking, you could be a heroin addict in a wealthy family your whole life and not have the repercussions come down upon you because you have money, safety nets, and everything else. Well, the rest of the world doesn't have that. So you end up in a tent on Skid Row, like people who are there right now because you've burned through the house you're in, you burned through your apartment, you burned through your rent, you burn through living in the backyard of your mother's house in a tent, and then she moves you to the sidewalk, and then the sidewalk is folded up, and you end up on Skid Row or underneath a bridge here in Los Angeles. It's an easily traceable route, but to the upper elites who have a lot of safety nets, it is not their path usually not their path of their struggle with addiction. Usually it's they're able to deal with addiction a lot easier than people who are on the street.
Oh, fair enough. But you said Skid Row, and that made me think of, we almost have a combination of both Skid Row and an elite in one image. And that was an appearance that happened.
I have not been invited. The only reason I would not accept an invitation is because I see no,
I mean, look what this guy looks like. If you saw this guy on Skid Row,
it's a long flight. And I see no.
I just want you to zoom in on his sneakers.
Look
at his sneakers, because this guy lives in an alleyway next to a liquor store in Malibu in Cross Creek Mall. I mean, look is what his footwear looks like, and look at Bill Maher's $600 calfskin boots that he's wearing. Look at Sean Penn's footwear, everybody.
Well, he gave his Oscar away, so he's giving his clothes away, right?
Right, but I mean, he's had addiction issues for a long time. His brother, we tried to help his brother who died at the end, Chris Penn. It was too late for Chris. He came in too late. Sean famously had a Robin Wright marriage that he allegedly beat the living shit out of her numerous times. Police reports.
I think Madonna accused him of
Madonna also. I mean, this guy's got more problems than political problems. He's got some mental health issues with addiction. Not that the host doesn't, sitting next to him, but Sean Penn is starting to look like it. I mean, I remember running into Johnny Depp at the end. I don't know if that was the end, but it was an encounter with Johnny Depp where he was in a similar state of affairs to Sean Penn.
Yeah, not always the best. So
right, but his complaint, if you play it through,
no, it's like 4 minutes. So
no. I'm not saying to do it. Yeah. I'm just saying if you did play it through, his complaint is not that Bill Maher went and had dinner with Trump. It's that he talked about it. And he said you should have edited it out. His first instinct was censorship, bro. His first instinct was, why did you talk about it? You should have edited it out. and he doesn't buy it, Mar, to his credit. But that's the first instinct of a fascist is why did you? It should have been censored because you humanized him. You put out color footage of Hitler. The British would not allow color footage of Hitler during the war. And for many years, as our British friends know, into the 70s, I believe, they didn't allow any color footage of the Third Reich because it humanized them visually and psychologically by seeing the cold, stark black and white of the Third Reich versus home movies of Hitler. And they knew that intuitively, the MI6.
Well, well, that's one thing you're kind of like, I don't know if that's a bad thing, but another case of somebody who was dragged hard for a similar thing was Jimmy Fallon. Remember when Trump went on the show
with the hair,
and Trump said, no, it's real. And Jimmy's like, huh? And he played with his hair. He lost so much support and was under so much fire.
Oh, great. His mea culpas responding to that are sarcastically pretty good. You know, what do you want me to do? Kill myself? I mean, he literally said, what do you want me to do? With various ideas that I won't get into.
Right. Well, anyway, I'm just saying, but yeah, he went through it too because he humanized Trump with the hair bit. And all right, so here, another super chat. This is QED, and this is a reminder I need to put out to everybody. Mark never wants to hear about any status of any Dodgers game whatsoever.
Oh, no, please don't say anything, please.
So this one doesn't spoil it, but I just want to tell you that if you're saying something about a status of a game, I'm not going to
TiVoing the game.
I won't share it. I will not share it. So just save the money. But anyway, Mark, will you man up and help your Dodgers out a little bit? Your glove's still in the back of the closet, isn't it? Age should be no real barrier to your pitching. Think knuckleball.
Well, I'll tell you this, a great game last night. We beat the Padres. We took 2 out of 3 from the Giants. So my life is completely gleeful at this point. It's a long season, though. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So who knows? This is all still the month of June.
All right. Base player 2011 FI. Iran has been 5 minutes away from a bomb since 1992. Yeah,
very
thank
good.
God they haven't got it.
Thank you. What's your solution, base player? What do you want to do?
I mean,
you want to let them have it, or why do they have an underground facility the size of Detroit inside of a mountain? What do you think they're doing down there every day? Well, I mean, really, what do you think they're doing in that underground super fortress laboratory down there if they're so above ground? And I mean that phonetically too, above ground. That's how North Korea got the bomb. That's how Pakistan got the bomb. What Eric was pointing out is how it changes the geopolitical structure of the earth once you get that bomb. But you, for some reason, do not believe that a theocratic Islamicist government led by a maniac named Ayatollah Khomeini, it's not a problem that he has a bomb. And you don't want to do anything about it. 80% of the American people think otherwise. I'm sorry you're not with us on this, but 80% of us believe that we have to do something to stop the bomb. Now, you could get into debate about what to do about the bomb and how to stop it. That's some debate, people are willing to have. But to simply say, yeah, they've been saying they're going to get a bomb since 1992. Go fuck yourselves. Have a nice day. That's not really an intellectual debate that anybody's willing to have with an adult, man.
By the way, and those who are saying, who are we to say that they can't have nuclear power? Did you know, Mark, that there are nuclear reactors that can run now that do not require enriched uranium?
Yeah.
Did you know also that the level of enrichment, I think, is between 5 and 7%, and theirs is at 60 to 80?
No, I know.
More.
That was the IEA.
Why is that?
That's exactly what the IEA report came out this week and said exactly what Eric just said.
So I'm going to call bullshit on some of this because it's like, why is it so important that it's got to be so enriched?
Yeah.
Well, here, how about we give you this nuclear reactor? It works good. No enrichment required.
To answer that guy's question, it's been a cat and mouse game since 1992 trying to prevent this.
Shit, the 80s.
Right. I'm just saying it's been a cat and mouse game since then. There are people who are much more interested in this than him, the person who made that comment, who do not want to see this nuclear proliferation around the world. I know that sounds like nothing to you, but to rational, normal people, stopping nuclear proliferation is extremely important, regardless of who gets it. You know, if Switzerland would develop it, I wouldn't be as worried as I wouldn't be happy about Switzerland. I'll tell you that right now. But I would not be anywhere near as worried as to have a theocratic fascist regime with a nuclear weapon. I know that sounds harsh, but I think most people would agree to that.
Okay, I'm not doing this to pick on you, Karen, because a lot of people might, you know, this is a question a lot of people are asking. But what did they ever do to us?
Huh?
Haven't you heard of Marines and barracks and?
Dear God. Why don't you just Google it? Just ask Grok what has.
Believe me, please do. Please look at it. A lot of it was in the 80s and beyond. But
how about holding us hostage in the
hostages
US for destroying the presidency of Jimmy Carter, which would have destroyed it anyway, for hundreds and hundreds of days as hostages by the Iranian regime as students who are now in charge of Iran. Those are the same people who took the hostages back in 79. Which made Ted Koppel a Nightline, by the way.
Right. By the way, there's even a movie about it called Argo, all about getting the hostages out there and the mission that took place.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
And not only that, it's not just them. It's not just them. And this is a part of what's frustrating me because I got into some arguments. Mark, I have a question for you. If Germany was to hire terrorist groups out of Mexico, like let's say they hired cartels and those cartels came in and attacked us, would we be right in attacking Germany?
Of course.
But that wouldn't be preemptive, would it? It would actually be a response. So
of course it's a response.
And Hamas and every other terrorist group, which Iran not only supports, they brag about supporting. We're not hiding the ball here. They literally say, these are our people. The guy Soleimani that was killed ran them. That was his job, was to run these groups that are striking everybody around the world. So in fairness, I don't think it's correct to call Israel attacking Iran and trying to take out facilities preemptive. I think of that as a response for being attacked continuously.
I completely agree with you. They're also one of the major funders of Hamas and were involved in the terrorist attack of October 7th. I'll tell you another sidelight, which may be helpful. 90% of Iranian oil goes to one country, and that's the Communist Chinese Politburo there in China. That's who buys their oil. So a sideline of this thing may be to put a dent in the Chinese economy. I know people would be upset about that, but they're buying 90% of the Iranian oil.
Yeah, it would hurt them.
It would hurt them, Eric.
As a matter of fact,
that may be Trump's motivation.
No. That's part of the negotiation because they have not hit the petroleum facilities in Iran, and that was as a favor to China. That's part of our negotiation with trade. Well, with China right now is
famously the Israelis are going after military installations, and Tehran is going after Tel Aviv apartment buildings. But of course, that doesn't matter to anyone because it's the Jews.
Sure. All right. Bass player 2011 FI. Here we go. Invite Bears to come on for Friday. Doesn't matter if it's an 80-20 issue. On this topic specifically, without that 20% Trump doesn't win. As for Bibi, I repeat, he had been crying wolf since the 90s.
Again, this has nothing to do with
Iran has been doing this. I mean, it's not wolf.
Bibi's crying wolf since what's the wolf part? I don't understand.
I mean, are you saying that Iran was sitting there twiddling their thumbs peacefully and just chilling out like Kuwait and not really doing anything in the world, and they're just being attacked? Are we kidding? I mean, serious. Iran is well known for mucking about everywhere, funding every bit of terror out there, calling death to everybody, and really trying to deliver on that promise.
Well, they have delivered, Eric. I mean, they've promised and delivered repeatedly.
So yeah, I don't think it's calling.
You do understand this is a theocratic dictatorship, and the Iranian people are under the gun of these theocratic dictators. But apparently, that doesn't even matter at all either. It's like supporting Fidel Castro and saying "fuck the Cuban people." I mean, I still like Fidel Castro. I'm going to wear a picture of him and Che on a sweatshirt. But the Cuban people who are trapped there, let them swim to Miami. Maybe they could save their own lives. Give me a fucking break. What about the Iranian people? They didn't vote for these maniacs. I'm not saying we have to go in there and fucking liberate them, but I mean, painting Iran as a normal country is crazy. That's freaking
I
crazy.
encourage everyone to find footage of Iran from the 70s, pre-revolution, and post, and just notice how people are dressed. Notice how people are getting around and walking around, and do the same thing, by the way, at Beirut. But get some footage. I mean, I think Beirut was called Paris of the Middle East. I mean,
Beirut,
these were super hip, awesome.
Again, to point out, this stuff was part of the Cold War. The Soviets exacerbated this intentionally. After the Cold War was over, what was left of the PLO continued this thing despite not having funding from the Soviets. This was part of the Cold War ideology against us, and that's fair play. I completely agree. But the Cold War has been over a long time. And now you've got these theocrats and these Islamicists trying to, create caliphates and do damage in the region. And, they've been extremely successful, as Eric has pointed out.
Yeah, I mean, all right. Baltimore football history. How do you explain Barnes and Bears?
That's not our job, bro. It's not my job.
Served, and he's concerned. I'm not going to criticize Bears.
I'm not
who put in his skin in the game. He was a soldier.
I'm not criticizing anybody. Those people will come back into the fold when this is over in 24 hours.
I'm going to criticize Tucker a little bit, but anyway.
Well, he's got some issues. I mean, but that's
I think Tucker.
That's a separate story.
There's an exchange of money involved. In my opinion.
Eric
I'm
is
sorry.
First to point that out, and it may not just be Qatar with him. There may be another country involved, right?
Potentially. We're digging more and more stuff up and seeing different things about who's actually funding his partner.
I address this because I believe that our friends are yelling as loud as possible intentionally to get the attention of the Trump administration, and rightfully so, to avoid what they and Eric have been describing. And I think they've gotten the attention, rightfully so, from the Trump administration, and J.D. Vance personally responding to them is a very good sign.
A Burley Knoll is saying the wars aren't linked, but they're the same people. The same people benefit from all of them. Yeah, to a degree. There's some, military industrial complex, things like that. Absolutely.
Right.
JoJo with 2 pounds, it looks like. Thank you, JoJo. George Toth. Great show. Bring it, Mark.
Toth.
Thank you, Toth. Fletcher Boy. A glass of great whiskey makes everything better, or at least more palatable. Yeah, it's probably like, it's almost like a version of heroin. You have enough of it, you just don't care.
Right. It's the great scenes when they got into, and these are in movies too, but in real life, I know some people who are involved in this in World War II, when they got to a town and they would break into a liquor store and there was still liquor left in there. Holy cow, were they overjoyed. You know what I mean? Just to get.
I was a soldier. I can only imagine.
Right, a bottle of wine or liquor in some town or a basement or something. Holy shit, that must have been the greatest moment of their lives.
I will tell you, one memory I have in the military. You know how they like to say that vodka has no smell, and a lot of alcoholics will use it thinking that they're kind of sneaking by people or whatever because it's clear. So, I can tell you it does have a smell for sure. And I know this because we'd have PT in the morning and go out for a run. And it was the most disgusting thing in the world, running in formation with everybody sweating out all the alcohol for the night before. And you're having to be just like, it was bad. It was like sweaty distilleries running along.
I had a friend just past couple of years ago, Hubert Selby Jr. wrote Last Exit to Brooklyn and a bunch of other incredible novels. People know who Selby is out there. He told me the story of landing in Sicily in the storming of Italy, but with the Navy, and going directly to a liquor store, getting all the bottles and running back to the ship when they were literally landing on the beach in Sicily, and he was crying. He said, "I wept a tear for every bottle that I dropped." He had about 40 in his arms, and one or two would start dropping and break on the sidewalk or the street, and he would just go hoo, 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 and keep running until he got back on board the ship. Selby was a legendary drug addict and alcoholic, people, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But
I got to address this comment. This is just this this cracks me up. Okay, why so many people live in Iran if their lives are so rough? One TV channel said there's 90 million people in Tehran.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the same question. I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah.
Why do so many people live in North Korea? If they're
why don't they leave?
Well, I mean, come on. It must be a paradise.
Well, look, not everybody's got money to get out. I mean, there's a lot of answers to that. I'm sorry. That's a really. What if it was 10
bad
million?
question.
What difference does it make? Ask the Cubans about how they're trapped down there, under the Castro regime still to this day. I mean, you could ask that question in any regime around the world.
Well, I have.
No, I know.
I've talked to them. They let me know very clearly. It was not fun. And they did try.
You can't get people out of Skid Row, let alone bad neighborhoods and urban centers.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Dan Hack, word of the day: unconstitutional surrender. I think
What does that mean? Unconditional?
I think it's a play on. Well, Trump said unconditional surrender earlier. I think this is a play on words.
So what does the words mean?
I don't know that it applies, but I think it's a play on words. I just don't understand the where it is.
Well, as somebody, I think Dave Rubin pointed out, this could the gamble that Trump is taking could lead to peace in the Middle East for generations, and I think that's what Trump is going for here.
Oh, I'm sure he is, and
well,
and you know what, and it may not happen. I mean, we'll be honest, but again, I don't want him to have a nuke. I don't want it to be a situation where now we can't do anything about it because they'll nuke.
Put it this way: their ally Russia could have given them a nuke years ago. Why didn't Russia do it? They love him so much. Why? Like you said, that comment you showed the Saudi prince. There's no love lost there. Why is it that only the Americans seem to have some love for this administration and this country? And I mean, Obama sending them pallets of cash. I mean, Obama helping them.
Sending them cash.
Biden sending them cash. What is it that their own enemies do not want to help them, and their own allies, rather, including Russia and Saudi Arabia and others, don't want to help them, that know they're batshit crazy, but liberals on the left said, hey, these guys seem okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Cappy with $10, thank you. Hey, Mark, who was the better singer, Jim Morrison or Joe Valachi?
See, I think she's saying that Valachi was a stool pigeon and testified against the mob.
Oh,
yeah, get it? Or Cappy is a boy because he put up Captain America.
Very funny.
I don't understand the connection between Jim Morrison and Joe Valachi. That's in fact, do not quit your day job. Joke writing is not. I mean this honestly, Cappy, as a professional joke writer, do not quit your day job. Jokes have to have a beginning, middle, and end. 3 parts with a punchline at the end. There's no connection to that I know of Joe Valachi and Jim Morrison. Hence the failure of the joke. Just a professional tip. But thanks for the 10.
There's some fighting words here from Brooklyn 8787.
Right.
ICE just deported Otani. Let's go Mets.
Dude, you're stuck with that guy in right field, Soto, till the end of time. Does the name Bobby Bonilla mean anything to you? Let's go Mets. Good luck. See you in the post, brother.
All right, Al Gonzalez.
What are you hearing, Al? What's the word on the street?
No, I think he's getting back to reality here.
Yeah.
Mark is right. Some people just love getting high. Back in the 90s, I locked up one of my favorite musicians, Gil Scott-Heron. Oh, I remember him. He was living in a crack house. Because it was sad for me to see him like that. Yeah.
I got 3 friends right now that are on Queer Street with this thing. I mean, there's 3 close friends of mine not all 3 are in the news, but Some of them are, and there's nothing you could do about it. I mean, until you're willing to completely surrender and say, help me, and do what people say, we can't help you. I mean, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but that's just the nature of addiction. You know, you will go to the lowest level prison. I mean, I've had lawyers go into prison and offer the clients rehab or remaining in jail, and they'll stay in jail. I mean, think how crazy that is.
Oh yeah, you've told me that, which is just like
I
bonkers.
Yeah, I have a lawyer friend who just specializes in addiction, and many of his clients just pass on the freedom of being in a rehab in Malibu, for Christ's sakes, and they elect to stay in prison and get the time over with.
Wow, Jesus. All right, Pew Pew with 200. I guess is it kroner, Nordic kroner? I'm not sure what their currency is. I think the Jews, as Mark says, is turning the table.
Turning the table. Middle East is not going to. Middle East is not. I think so too. I think so too. This is such a huge upheaval that it's very Trumpian because he's not happy with the status quo. I'm looking at it from 1,000 feet up in the, looking down from above, and I am not screaming that this boots on the ground crazy crap. I mean, I think Trump has a plan here that he wants to implement that will, and that includes the Gazans. Remember when he said he was going to move the Gazans into another space, they went batshit crazy. He has not given up on that plan. This guy, as a builder, I think politically wants to rebuild the Middle East. Whether you like it or not, or I like it, this is something that he looks at as a challenge of his last years in office. And I think he is determined to implement the Abraham Accords and to restructure the political fabric of the Middle East. And I think people are either going to be with him or not on this issue. I say trust Trump and stick with him because he's got a plan.
I watch a lot of things on different presidents and stuff, and I feel like some of the more responsible historians have as a rule that they won't even talk about a president or what, how good they were or whatever else until 20, 30 years after they're out of office, because you really don't know how they are. So I think Trump is looking at a legacy.
Yeah.
So 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, like Eisenhower started the interstate system. So whatever you want to say about Eisenhower, he's got this legacy of the interstate system that's still with us today. It's still a legacy that's going forward. And
how fast before they pull up Eisenhower's military-industrial complex speech to answer your question?
Who knows? It'll take 10 minutes, but it's
that's
a great
a lot.
speech.
That's a lot. But the reality of it is Trump, and Eric's right. He got a big plan here. He's got a big plan, and he's getting annoyed that people are cherry picking things. And he sent Vance out into the field to deal with these people who are screaming that the sky is falling, I think. And he's really acknowledging, I got your message. I've got a bigger plan. It's just my take on it. It's just my take on it.
And Vance is very eloquently answering.
Yeah.
I'm already seeing some of our friends tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, you got to tone it down, bro. You really got to tone it down. These quotes that you're putting up are so, I get it, but you really got to tone it down. Give Trump a chance here. Come on.
And by the way, I will say this. Okay. If all of a sudden there is going to be boots on the ground, I will. We're going to discuss that. We're going to have a problem. Okay. So this is, Mark and I are on the assumption that there will be no American soldiers going over there. There's no boots on the ground. This is not Iraq. Okay. It is not Iraq. And that's what we just keep saying. It's not Iraq.
There's some people who just keep insisting it's Iraq. I have to vehemently disagree until I see otherwise.
All right, Dan Hack. Iran was trying to assassinate President Trump 2024. Now, I want to point out, though, and Spicer and Dan Turntine, both, I think, were correct on that. I don't think it was Crooks and the other guy. I think there might have been two other attempts.
They were correct. They were correct. These are two other attempts that Netanyahu was referring to, which we had heard about at the time. One of them involving a Stinger missile and going after his limousine entourage and telling Trump not to sit by the window, and another attempt. This is not with Ruth and Crooks, Netanyahu, and you again, you're calling the guy a liar and you have no information. I'm sorry. If people say that, I tend to give them the benefit of the doubt based on assassination attempts on Trump. He also has a price. These other guys have a price on their head from Iranian intelligence, which includes Bolton. It includes what's his name, who used to be the head of the CIA. Pompeo has a price on his head. I mean, they have a hit squad, and other affiliates who are out to get these guys.
Oh, the author of Satanic Verses still has it on his head, right?
Well, that's a
that's
fatwa.
right?
This is right. That's a fatwa. It's a little different, but this could be a type of fatwa. What do I know? I don't know.
No, what is it? It's against the, yeah.
Well, I mean, he's been stabbed. I mean, these seem like low-level operations with Salman Rushdie is who you're talking about.
No, but I'm saying if they're going to pick even on an author.
Oh yeah, right.
It's like this is not.
I don't think what Netanyahu was saying was so revelatory. I assume that they're trying to kill Trump.
Yeah, and we're not saying we're fans of Bolton and Pompeo just because we said there's
no. Again, dude, holy crap! You people are either drunk or retarded.
Oh, but we love you. No, anyway,
I don't love you.
MK Ultra. Here we go.
This could be an MK Ultra program.
Yeah, might be. Iran is 5 minutes away from a nuke for decades. Well, that's because Israel did something about it. Every now and then, people forget things like Stuxnet destroying centrifuges in Natanz. Yes, 100%. That's what I've been saying. Yes, they were close, and they've been close, and it's been this cat and mouse game for decades.
Okay, who weeps for Syria and Iraq not having nuclear weapons because Israel took out their nuclear programs? Who is still crying over that Israel took them out with surgical airstrikes? Please tell me that you're crying over Syria. Think about the crazy guy in charge now, that he would have a nuclear weapon, and think about Iraq having a nuclear weapon if it wasn't for Israel taking them out. Again, this is the third one that they will have taken out.
When Russia's not crying for them.
Nobody's crying.
Russia just said, okay, you can stay here, but Assad.
Except for these people who are on the right and the left in the American political zeitgeist. It's really shocking.
All right, Edward McLaughlin, $49.99 super sticker. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you.
He's from McLaughlin and Company. I don't know if you remember the show.
I've heard the name, but I don't.
Dude, I was a religious watcher of McLaughlin and Company, and there are certain people out there, you know who I'm talking about, who religiously watch that a talk show. It was a group talk show on for years and years and years. John McLaughlin with other guests, and I don't know. Everybody in my family watched it, and I know a lot of people used to watch it years ago. It was a great, great show.
Right. Let me see.
Well, while you're looking for that, I just got to plug something for tomorrow because I have this weird guy, Viva, coming on my show tomorrow. What's Up with Lord Buckley? And these are not going to be political shows. These are shows like I did with Eric last week, which, by the way, now is nearly 20,000 views from last week's show with Eric. So everybody knows everything about Eric now. Tomorrow's going to be a similar thing about Viva. This is not about politics. This is about Viva's life. And it's going to be fun and entertaining. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern on YouTube. What's Up with Lord Buckley for those who haven't found it yet.
Oh, and that note, on Thursday, I'll be dropping an interview with Eric Abenante about the history of voter fraud in the U.S., which you guys might want to check out as well. So we're trying to put something out 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday. Around the same time, 5:36, whatever. Mark's throwing the game by making it at 6 o'clock Eastern.
Viva's bringing his audience. That's why I'm doing it.
That always helps. He usually gets off at 5:30.
Right, and he's bringing them at 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'm going to have Dr. Drew pretty soon, and we're going to do Barris about 3 weeks out, and also Barnes in a couple of weeks, and then a lot of show
Barnes
business.
Is next week, I think. Isn't it?
July 2nd will be Barnes. Got like show business friends I'm going to interview in the same way. It's non-political, so it's going to be fan friendly. We're not going to be fighting at all.
Right. And we got another genius in the chat. Wow. Hold on. Somebody is saying the Barnes brought them to us. But no more because we're warmongers. Do you like war, Mark?
No, I just said I'm opposed to the Ukraine war, and nobody listened to me. I was just.
Are we fans of Dick Cheney?
Dude, nobody hates Dick Cheney more than me. Barnes apparently doesn't agree with you, and he'll be on my show July 2nd. So maybe you could come on and support Barnes, because we're going to talk about how he grew up, where he grew up, his family, and going to school and everything else. So I don't know. Maybe you've got a different take on it. But yeah, I've been an anti-war person my entire life.
So, I mean, good Lord. And I like how everybody won't acknowledge. I mean, Trump is about as anti-war as you can get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But no, never mind. All right, Dan Hack. I got auto checked. Unconditional. Okay, so you were doing the U.S. grant. Unconditional.
I thought you were making a joke. I'm
All
sorry.
right, cool.
We figured that. Right.
I didn't
That's
know
a
that
weird
because
auto check. Unconstitutional from unconditional. Man,
no kidding.
Some of these auto checks are so crazy. And I mean, Grok and some other ones are just batshit nuts. It took me like 17 times to write somebody's name yesterday in Grok. It just kept auto correcting to insane amounts of stuff.
Oh, it's so frustrating. I hate that so much. It's like, I know that if you can go look, there's like an X, or you can hit escape real quick.
Yeah, somebody told me that. But when you're doing it on your phone and it's
tedious.
small, it's a little hard to pull off.
Yeah, and then it took you 5 minutes to type the damn word. You're like, God.
I had to type it like 6 times, Eric. It was like her name was Elenia Del Sol or something. It just threw up the craziest thing. The crazier the name, the harder it is to type it in.
All right, you know what? You need to get good at this. I need to get good at this. Our friend Viva, David, who you just talked about, interviewing tomorrow, is a master at. He just talks to his phone through everything.
I know. Well, his phone is in the shop now. He's such a master of it that his phone is in the shop, because while he was doing that, he dropped it and it cracked the glass of the phone. So he's currently using his wife's phone.
Like that.
I don't know. He just told me that last night. I don't know how to deal with his wife.
Is there going to be less Twitter rage?
Probably until he gets it back. I thought, what do you mean it's in the shop? What is it, like getting an oil change or something? Whose cell phone is in the shop?
This is going to be bad. So it's like, if you see a lot of mean tweets from Marianne Van Horn, it's not her fault. Okay,
Right.
Don't hold it against her.
But Marianne has supplied me with some photos that Viva's not aware of for tomorrow's show. So this is going to be a lot of fun. She's in on it, and it's going to be fun tomorrow.
Awesome. All right, Fletcher Boy. AUS needs Hawaiian shirts for merch. I wish.
Well, I don't know about Hawaiian shirts, but I got a whole line of stuff that I've bought, not having nothing to do with AUS. But we have a lot of merch down there that Eric has pointed out.
It's in the description.
Yeah, I don't know if they're Hawaiian shirts, but there's a lot of tie-dyed stuff. There's like tie-dyed shirts, some tie-dyed hat kind of wear, and other stuff that is pretty obscure.
Yeah, different things. Either way. All right, well, it's that time of day. We are going to be heading over to locals, where it will be obviously less contentious, because everybody on locals agrees with everything that we say all the time.
Oh, that's terrible.
No, that they never mock me or make fun of us relentlessly. But just think, in locals, we can say what we want. We can say those actual words, like instead of unalive, we can say the real word.
Oh yeah, locals
and other things like that in locals. You can be a member there for free, and if you like what you see, we put a lot out in there that is free to everybody, including this show with no ads. So if you're been watching this now for 2 hours, we've been here over 2 hours, and you're going, oh my God, I've been hit with so many damn ads. Well, you could be on locals and watching it for probably 2.5 hours, because we'll have time over there, and have no ads whatsoever. So hope you consider coming by, and we look forward to seeing you over there.